Hi, how are you? I hope you are doing well. In this video, we're going to look at the logic of definitions, the different types of definition. Now, I'm the Amateur Logician from amateurlogician.com, and there you will find an extensive tutorial on traditional verbal style logic. You'll find entries on the logical fallacies, on deductive reasoning, categorical syllogisms, mixed hypothetical syllogisms, the so-called predicaments and predictables, and much more. In any case, we're going to think about the types of definition. We can divide this up into nominal definitions, real definitions. Within real definitions are non-essential ones and essential ones. Non-essential ones include by properties, by accidents, by effects, and by causes. And by causes include efficient, final, and material. Now, before we jump into the logic of definitions and define these terms, let's roughly outline traditional logic into its two major components. So with traditional logic, we can think about, on the one hand, what we might call the content of thinking. And this, for example, would include definitions. How do we define things? What's a good definition? What's a bad definition? What are the different types of definition? And so forth. On the other hand, we can think about the structure of reasoning. For example, this would include syllogisms. And I'm sure the most famous syllogism in all of logic is, all men are mortal, Socrates is a man, therefore Socrates is mortal. The content of thinking is our concern at present. Okay, so let's first think about nominal definitions versus real definitions. A nominal definition is of a word, not what is signified by the word. It's hence purely about the signifier, not the signified. So in general, we have the signifier pointing to, so to speak, the signified. And with the nominal definition, we're only concerned with the signifier. We're thinking about the word as the word. We're just thinking about the way a word is being used. In this sense, a definition found in a dictionary is at minimal nominal, not necessarily real. So we're just thinking about the word itself. So for example, we might have the word dog, and we're just thinking about what that word is. But in actual fact, that signifier is being used to point to actual dogs out there in the world. Now, nominal definitions include, involve, or can invoke things like synonyms, but also etymology, Now, a real definition, in contrast, is trying to go beyond, so to speak, mere words. We're trying to get to what is signified by a signifier. So we're trying to get to the signified. That's not always an easy task. It can be very difficult. Some things are difficult to define. Sometimes we cannot reach, so to speak, an exact and perfect definition. But an essential definition reaches the nature of something. It implicitly invokes what's called the predictables. Consider the classic example, man is a rational animal. Man falls under the genus animal and has a specific difference of rationality. So animal represents the genus, rational represents a specific difference. With such an essential definition, we have a proximate genus and a specific difference. The proximate genus is the narrowest genus. We could say, for example, that man is a rational living being. Then the genus is living being, but we can narrow things down more to just saying animal. Again, being rational is a specific difference, It is what differs man from other beings who belong to the genus of animal. We can have an essential definition of gold or silver. We can have an essential definition of what a triangle is, what a Euclidean triangle is, and so on and so forth. But there are other possible real definitions. Sometimes all we can do is settle for a non-essential definition. For example, we can have definitions by properties. Here the term property is being used in a technical sense. It concerns something that follows from or flows from an essence. So it flows from or follows from an essence. For example, man is a being who talks, is the definition by property. Notice this property of talking follows from or flows from the nature of man being essentially rational. Or consider a definition of a triangle, a Euclidean triangle, as that which has the internal angles add up to 180 degrees. That's a property. We can also have a non-essential definition by accidents, and this is much more tricky. It's tricky in the sense that it's hard to form a good definition by accident, because a good definition shouldn't be too broad to include other things than that which is being defined. If I try to define man by non-essential features, there's a good chance I'll make a definition that will include beings that are not men. So it won't be a very good definition. So let's say I define man as a being who might reside in North America, is mobile, is sometimes tall and skinny and so forth. That's not a very good definition. And there are other non-humans that might qualify. So it's too broad of a definition. It's not a very good definition. So as a rule, a definition by accident is not too good. Now, definitions by causes, at least as a rule, are better than definitions by accidents. And here we have the efficient cause, the final cause, and the material cause. So let's break this down. So efficient cause. Is that which brings an entity into existence or changes the manner in which it exists. It answers questions like who or what made it, or what caused it to change. For example, we could define a rainbow in terms of its efficient cause. And it's a powerful kind of definition if you think about it, because it requires the use of scientific knowledge. Now, a final cause is that which, for the sake of which, the entity exists or is made for. It answers questions like why was this made? What purpose or goal does it have? Or what kind of effects does it tend to produce on other entities? For example, we might define various tools this way. A pencil, for example, is an instrument made for writing or drawing. So a definition by final cause, depending on the context, might be a very good definition to use. Next, we have material cause. A material cause is that which an entity is made of. It answers questions like, what is it made of? Straightforwardly enough. For example, consider, again, a definition requiring the use of scientific or engineering knowledge. Now, finally, we can attempt to define things in terms of effects. For example, we might define God as the creator of the universe. So we're defining him by the effects he has produced. Finally, let's consider 5 rules for defining. So now that we have a layout of different types of definition, let's think about the rules for defining. So rule 1. It should be adequate such that the definition is not too broad and not too narrow. That is, the definition should have an equal extension as the terms. Rule 2. It should reveal the intention of the term being defined. That is, the definition should express the correct meaning of the term. Important attributes of the term should be expressed as best as possible. However, sometimes we cannot reach the essential definition, but have to reach a non-essential definition. But that intention should still be correct. We should aim at the objective intention of the thing in question as best as possible, as best as humanly possible. Rule 3. It should be clear, not obscure. No definition should be ambiguous or vague. Figurative language should be avoided. Rule 4. It should not be circular. The subject term and the predicate term shouldn't be identical or synonymous, since then no new information would be conveyed. Rule 5. It should be expressed, if possible, in a positive, not negative manner. Don't define something by what it is not, but by what it is. These are the basic 5 rules in terms of defining things well. So we've went through the types of definition. We can think about nominal definitions, real definitions, non-essential, essential, and so forth. I'm the Amateur Logician from amateurlogician.com. Hope this video has been useful and helpful and interesting to you. Thanks for watching, and be well.